Today's show is sponsored by libertarian conspiratorial fantasy author Jack Casey. Whether you're looking for a 3-book fantasy sci-fi epic of love, death, and dystopian civil war like the Royal Green series, or just looking for a quick, dark, comedic, cultural commentary tale about a transsexual slayer of COVID regime vampires, like his latest book, WVW, Jack Casey Books will keep you adequately entertained and pondering the universe to your weird little heart's content. He's the Ayn Rand meets Stephanie Meier meets somebody who actually writes entertaining books with his own unique little downer-esque flair. Find out more about Jack Casey Books at the aptly named jackcaseybooks.com. Once again, that is jackcaseybooks.com. We live in a new age, and it's time for us to upgrade our tinfoil hats. Operation Tinfoil is a freedom-focused small business and trusted sponsor of this show. Their super comfortable new line of beanies and baseball caps will not only crown your skull in style, but each of these dome defenders is lined with a silver mesh that blocks up to 99% of EMF radiation from cell phone towers, Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, and yes, even 5G. We don't know what EMF radiation does to the brain long term, but neither do they, so don't be their guinea pig and don't wait around to find out. Get your stylish tinfoil hat of the future today at gettinfoil.com. Use the promo code SYSTEM for $10 off your order. Again, that's gettinfoil.com. Use the promo code SYSTEM for $10 off your order. How dare you, Hector Roos. Hector Roos says, I couldn't watch that. Too much anxiety watching a retarded performance. I don't know if that was a jab at me or a jab at somebody else. I don't know, but I also can't find my button. There's my button. Hey guys, welcome back to the least comfortable show on the web. It's The System is Down, where we talk about all the uncomfortable topics like conspiracies, politics, religion, and Jews. Yeah, we're going to talk about some things that are uncomfortable today, and you may or may not be prepared for it, but your friends might be prepared for it, or maybe they won't. Maybe they'll be offended by it. Either way, go out and share it with them right now, because things are about to get spicy. But don't worry, we've got some people here that'll help us through this. And it's not what you think, I assure you. We're talking about some actual spirituality stuff, not just, your Kanye West is an anti-Semite bullshit stuff. We're gonna go deep. We're gonna go deep, and we're gonna have some fun with it. So, buckle up, share the link, and let's get weird.
All I ask is, if we have to give these bastards our lives, we give them hell before we do!
The tragedy of our day is the climate of fear in which we live.
Talking about the Salomon Brothers building collapsing.
I would ask the congressman to withdraw that comment and tell us that he didn't really mean that.
I don't know what I said.
I did not have sexual relations with that woman.
The Bible commands that certain people be put to death.
Thieves were possessing weapons of mass destruction. 9/11 attacks were carried out by Al-Qaeda.
Handle the truth. I remember that with that smoke. We are still here.
We have to say yes to social justice.
No, it's a big club, and you ain't in it.
It is a big club, and you are not in it, but you are in this club called The System is Down. And I should have also mentioned at the beginning there, we're not just talking about the Jews today, we're also talking about John Fetterman's fucking face meltdown. Just something for the history books. God, I'm pulling Fetterman right off the bat. But before we get to any of that, before we introduce our co-hosts, I gotta remind you guys about my favorite sponsor, and that is, of course, you. People in the Downers Club, people like JC, Justin Savoy, Justico Mitchell, Denise Cox, Liam Paredes, Adam Choit, Matthew Walrus, Zach Farnell, Kimberly Owens, Gigi Vaughn. Once again, I feel like I'm only hitting the same ones over and over again, so maybe we'll go back here. Joey Ferguson, I don't think I've said your name in a while. Silas Lane, that's new. Liam, I just said that one. Amy Lepore, James Gentleman, others, Break the Bell, Sean-Luc Picard. I think Jack Casey might be on this list somewhere. Anthony Meier might even be on this list. I don't know. There he is. Anyway, if you want to get your name on that list and have it read incorrectly, go on over to patreon.com/thesystemsdown and sign up for the Downers Club, where you'll get more weird, more raw, more offensive, more weekly content, including, but not limited to, but mostly, our after parties every single Wednesday. If you like this nonsense and you want more of this nonsense after this nonsense is over, just know that it's not over. It keeps going. It gets worse. It gets uglier and more entertaining. So patreon.com/thesystemsdown is the way to sign up and support the show. If you like it, support it. It's really the only way right now, because YouTube hates me and hates everything that we talk about, especially some of the topics that we're going to talk about today. And today we're going to talk about some spicy ones, and I don't want to do it alone. I definitely don't want to do it without a Jew on my side, because they have superpowers or something, I hear. I don't know. Whatever. But let me bring them on. One of them is a flat earther, and one of them is a Jew. I don't know which is which. You decide. Jack Casey, Anthony Meier, how are you guys doing?
One of us is Jewish. I wonder which one here.
Yeah, since I was telling you before we started recording that I'm glad you grew the beard out. It really fits the part better. It makes me feel more comfortable using you as my Jewish shield when we talk about these topics.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I grew out the beard. I cut the hair. I mean,
yeah.
It's weird.
Should we just assume that you're wearing a yarmulke and it's just out of view?
I'm wearing a yarmulke in spirit.
Nice. I identify as somebody wearing a yarmulke. Speaking of people who identify as things, Jack Casey, how are you and what do you identify as today?
Well, since you have the Jew on as your Jewish shield, I'll be your retarded shield for the retards. I'm here to represent that.
I feel like I got that part covered. You can be my flat Earth shield if you want, though.
Yeah, there you go.
It's retarded enough.
That's right. That's right. So you've both been on the show in the past. Anthony, you took me out to dinner, and we had a man date, some may have called it.
Yeah, in Woodhull, and that restaurant's been closed and reopened twice now.
Really? I did not know that, and I live here.
It's closed again.
Wow.
You guys left an impression there. Damn.
Yeah. So
you had to shut it down.
It burn everything after that conversation. But
what happened in that bathroom?
They heard they served a Jew, and that was the end of it.
That's right. Now, Anthony, in that conversation, we talked about how the autistic truckers will save the country. Do you feel like you guys pulled it off?
I believe my Canadian brothers definitely did. As for the American truckers, we were a little, too late.
Yeah.
And when we finally got around to it, it turned into one big MAGA circle jerk.
You mean you and Reed showed up in D.C.? Like, what the fuck are we doing?
Me and Reed didn't do shit. We were out working all that freight that was being left alone by all the retards going to D.C. So, I mean, they just opened up the market for us.
Yeah, that makes sense. Do you feel like the truckers have more work to do? Do you think that truckers can turn this thing around without completely collapsing the economy if they were to boycott again?
Right now, as far as the economy is at this moment, the last market analysis I saw was last week, and we are currently at 2 times capacity over freight volume, which means there's 2 trucks for every load currently in the country. And with the slow season starting to work in right now, particularly as we run into winter, that's just going to become progressively worse. On top of that, we're operating on only 25 days right now of diesel reserves nationwide. So what we are in right now is basically the exact same freight market position that existed in 2007. So the 2008 bubble burst is about to happen again. That is my absolute prediction.
And the truckers are hopeless to save us.
You're going to see a lot of truckers go out of business. I've already seen a lot of truckers go out on Facebook. All my Facebook groups are pretty much full of nothing but people selling their rig, selling their trailer, getting out of the business entirely. So yeah, it's happening. It's happening right now. It's been crunching down for about the last 2 months. But those of us who have our trucks paid off and are able to at least try and coast through this, I and maybe some others will survive and see the other side. It's going to be probably 6 months to a year of very hard times.
So you're confident that you will, like in your position, you'll fare through it?
I have absolutely no recurring bills on my truck. Mm-hmm. So if the freight market gets to a point where I have to stop hauling freight, I can do that and I can survive. It's guys that have insane truck payments, and I'm talking a brand new truck leased. You're looking $1,200, $1,500 a week that they have to make just to make that payment. And I have the luxury of not having any bills that I have to continue to pay if
got all that Jew money
to stop. Oh yeah, exactly. It's
Jupe
Jewish
security.
Intuition in there. Yep, exactly. Yep. You got it.
Well, that's all great and very depressing. Jack, what are you up to these days? You writing a new book?
Oh yeah, the usual. Yeah, last night, in fact, is
it more or less gay than the last one?
It's everything you've seen so far times 3, because it's part 3. So it's.
Is that a promise or a warning?
It's both. It's you cannot legally sue me after you've read this book and can't unsee or read what you experienced.
Do you have anything in there about Sandy Hook? Because just wondering. They'll find a way to sue you.
Let's just say there are some things that what were we saying last time that, let's say, Anakin Skywalker might disapprove of potentially. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, no, I was on a writing binge last night, so that's why I'm still a little hungover here today. I was on a writing binge, which also meant I was drinking too. So, yeah, great breakthroughs. Almost there with it. It's gonna be fun. I'm excited. And
tentative release date, is that officially announced? Right?
Yeah, Halloween this Monday. Yeah.
Nice. And we're talking about WVW3. I'm not sure why I'm doing your job for you, but I guess you pay me to do it. So WVW3 is coming out on October 31st, guys. That's what I hear.
That's right. Yes. This Halloween, a.k.a. Halloweep, which you'll find out what that means in the book, too.
Interesting.
Yeah. So if you like, if you feel like the world's kind of run by monsters and you want to read a book about the world being run by monsters and vicariously murder them through fiction, you can read my books and learn more about
at jackcaseybooks.com, no less.
Yeah, jackcaseybooks.com.
Speaking of monsters, did you guys catch that John Fetterman debate last night? That was really something. Anybody? You guys?
I did not. I've only started to see some memes.
I didn't watch it.
Yeah, I didn't know about it until after it happened, and then I started seeing some posts about it, and I was like, oh, let's go see what this is. And then I could not take my eyes off the screen for the entire 60-minute duration. It was the most impressive blunder in history. And we're going to watch a couple clips. I didn't have to selectively choose the clips because you can really just point to anywhere that Fetterman is talking, and it is literally its own golden nugget. But yes. If for anybody that doesn't know who we're talking about, it's not actually Toad and Koopa, King Koopa. It's Biden as King Koopa and his Toad. John Fetterman had a debate last night against the one and only Dr. Oz, who it's really tragic and unfortunate that Dr. Oz is running against nobody. Sorry to the libertarian guy, but I don't remember your name. I wish you all the best. Let me just put that out right at the outset. I'm not ignoring you. I just don't know anything about you either. And I didn't know anything about John Fetterman really until like this last week and then last night. So Dr. Oz is trash. So this is not a promotion for Dr. Oz, but we're going to start just by watching the intro, which John Fetterman, for those that don't know, he's running for Senate against Dr. Oz in Pennsylvania. He had a stroke recently, and he has to read everything off a teleprompter, which, if that doesn't tell you enough already, you might think that gives him an unfair advantage that he's reading off a teleprompter, but it doesn't, and we're gonna find out more.
To ensure,
we're gonna jump to just his introduction.
What qualifies you to be a U.S. Senator? You have 60 seconds.
Hi, good night, everybody. I'm running to serve Pennsylvania.
I mean, end the show. End the debate. It's over. Oz won. He opened with good night, everybody. You can kind of just wrap it up and go on home, folks.
Dog-faced pony show right here.
Oh, and Anthony, you asked while the intro was rolling if this was worse than Joe Biden. This is like take Joe Biden's worst and make it every single response to every question that is asked of him.
This is gonna be good.
We can't possibly go through it all without spending the entire hour watching this. But there's certainly a part of me that wants to. It gets to the point of sadness, despair, black-pilled, knowing that people are still voting for this guy just because he's got a D next to his name and he's still raising money. And we're only like 3 words into his opening statement.
Pennsylvania's a down ticket state, isn't it?
I don't know.
I think they can do down ticket voting in Pennsylvania. So yeah, there's going to be a lot of idiots voting for this guy.
He's running to use Pennsylvania. Here's a man that spent more than $20 million of his own money to try to buy that seat. I'm also having to talk about something called the Oz rule, that if he's on TV, he's lying. He did that during his career on his TV show. He's done that during his campaign about lying about our record here. And he's also lying probably during this debate. And let's also talk about the elephant in the room.
Let's please do. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about
you.
Now the
I've never
fact
seen a guy like that who has a chin on the back of his neck. You see the chin?
it's not a chin. It is a goiter that is large enough and developed enough that even Ralph Northam would not want to abort it.
I think it's his collar's too tight. This isn't from a stroke. This is asphyxiation.
He's got some sort of creature that is controlling his brain, and it is defective. His motherboard chip is down, to say the least. And just the way that he talks is like a speak and spell. I have heard technology, like just like Microsoft Sam, talks more fluid than this guy does at this point.
Had a stroke. He's never let me forget that. And I might miss some words during this debate.
One or two.
2 words together, but it knocked me down, but I'm going to keep coming back up. And this campaign is all about, to me, is about fighting for everyone in Pennsylvania that ever got knocked down, that needs to get back up, and fighting for all forgotten communities all across Pennsylvania that also
Cue
got knocked
Chumbawamba.
down.
I get knocked down.
So they're spinning this as like the pity card now. They're like, look, this poor guy, vote for him because look, he's trying. Instead of like, who can functionally do this?
No, it's worse than that. It's worse than that. This happened last night, and this goes on for an hour.
Oh my God.
We'll go through some more here and there, but since you brought it up,
like 10-tweet long explanations from Democrats explaining why this is okay, this is fine. Oh, he's okay.
Oh, it's worse than explaining why it's fine and okay. This happened last night. John Fetterman is barely trending for some reason, and I posted this morning first thing. If John Fetterman is not trending all day today, it's a lie. It's a bold-faced lie. Instead, what's trending today, interestingly enough, is Stephen Hawking.
But he's dead.
Right. People are posting about Stephen Hawking, comparing this to Stephen Hawking. This guy posts, if I remember correctly, theoretical physicist Stephen Hawking couldn't speak very clearly either. Yes, but he was also a theoretical physicist, theoretically. And he, I mean, whether or not you believe that he was controlled by somebody else, which I do, doesn't matter. Like, his job wasn't to be a politician, and he wasn't debating somebody, and he had time to think out his thought. Like, this is a job where you're put on the spot, and you have to answer quick questions in the Senate and on the debate stage. Like, maybe Stephen Hawking could have been a great senator if he had all day to theoretically physicize about like the best policies or something. But we're not talking about a genius here. We're talking about a guy who started at base level kind of dumb guy socialist, and now he's broken base level dumb guy socialist. Like, there's not a hidden genius behind this man. I'm sorry.
Yeah, exactly. The starting point is he's a Democrat, so he's already at retarded level, clearly, with his everything he probably wants to do for us all. So it's like the bar was already low. So if you can't even meet like standard Democrat talking point stuff, you're like, it's
Yeah.
Yeah.
What were you saying, Anthony?
Oh,
Just
sorry,
cut you off because he's an asshole.
Politically, he's been nothing but what? Lieutenant governor?
What's that?
I think that's He's just been the lieutenant governor, and that's it, right?
I think he was a mayor for a tiny town or something, if you're talking about Fetterman.
I think he was lieutenant governor, and then he was a mayor.
Yeah, something like that.
So he has been a career politician for quite a while.
Right.
But
yeah.
Again, that's not saying he's a smart man, because he's been a career politician for quite a while.
I mean, if anything, that says the opposite. But Infidel on Twitter says Stephen Hawking had a little trouble with his speech due to medical conditions. Why didn't anybody question his intelligence? Speech and intelligence are two very different things. Yes, but if speech is required to properly do the job, then it doesn't really matter what Stephen Hawking did. And you guys comparing a broken elephant in the room to Stephen Hawking is just, it's, the spin is like impressive. It's like, good job, guys. You went straight for, he's not just a victim, he's a fucking genius. You just don't realize it because you're an ableist.
Like a superhuman who like Daredevil, like they think, well, he can't talk now, so he's gaining superpowers in other areas. So if he can't speak, he must be super smart now.
Right. Yep. If he loses his ability to see, I'm going to assume he can probably read minds and fly, because that's how.
Or he's got like a huge dick now or something. I don't know.
I mean, he's a pretty big guy, so I don't want to make any assumptions.
Price gouging corporations that are making record
Again,
profits.
I don't know what I'm jumping to. I just know that I can literally jump to anything, and it's going to be the same result. So we'll see.
While jacking after price gouging corporations, how do you plan to do this? You have 30 seconds.
Yeah, exactly. We have to keep pushing back on that. And he would never make that choice to fight for families here in Pennsylvania. You know, he has never met an oil company that he doesn't swipe right about. You know, he has never been able to stand up for working families all across Pennsylvania. You know, we must push back. Inflation has hurt Americans and Pennsylvania's families, and it has given the oil companies record profits.
All right, thank you.
It's like debating, I don't know, what age is young enough to have a response like this? Because even the pauses are like...
It's like a word generator, that's all he is.
Well, yeah, but even like the pauses make him sound like a toddler when he speaks. Like, yeah, then I'm going to go ride my bike to the store, and I'm going to do that. Like, I don't know. It's real uncomfortable, but we're going to keep going. Let me find. They didn't make him talk all that much. I was surprised. They did give him a little bit of pushback, especially on fracking, because Oz came out and he said, "Oh, I've always been for fracking," and they say, "Fetterman, you were against fracking. Now you're for fracking." And then his response is just like, "I'm for fracking, and no, I'm for fracking because that's where I stand, and I'm for fracking." Like, if I can find it, I'll prove to you that I'm barely exaggerating, if at all.
To have an abortion and have taxpayers pay for it.
So a yes or no on the Lindsey Graham bill?
I think I've answered it very, very clearly 3 times, Lisa.
Okay, all right. Thank you, Mr. Oz. Turning to you, Mr. Fetterman, you have frequently stated your belief that abortion should be safe. And
well, let's hear about abortion.
You know, what I support on Roe v. Wade. That was the law of the land for 50 years. He celebrated when it fell down, and I would fight to reestablish on Roe v. Wade. That's what I run on. That's what I believe, and I've always believed that the choice believes women and their doctors, and he believes that the choice should be with him or Republican legislators all across this nation.
All right.
Roe v. Wade. It's interesting that he says certain things the same way multiple times. It's almost like Microsoft saying where it's programmed certain words and they're recorded once, so they sound awkward in context of a conversation. But things like Roe v. Wade, I don't know. I don't know what's happening here, other than our country is like completely in the shitter at this point. Any thoughts?
It's the Roe v. Wade shit is classic statism versus federalism. People that want Roe v. Wade, they want the federal government to define the law for everyone across all 50 states, and that's all it is.
Yeah.
From a libertarian standpoint, it should be 100% up to everyone involved at the most local level. Absolutely. There should be no involvement in the government at all. But
Anthony, we're here to make fun of a mentally disabled man. We are not here to discuss the autistic minutia of Roe versus Wade.
I thought you bring up this controversy as
taking that out of that camp because he's retarded.
Listen, we can have a retarded debate about abortion later. But yeah.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I think they've got that covered, actually.
Well, it's interesting how you're right. Regardless of all those nuances, just that the topic of abortion, any of these topics for the right and left, it's always a framework, a narrative they use where they don't actually address what the actual issue or policy is. It's just like the scare words of black and white, for, against, blah blah. They don't even use the reality of the situation to then make why they think they're better. They're just like, I'm going to say the scary words that make people vote for me one way or the other.
All conversation in general is now. But I should mention, when I say making fun of a disabled person, let me be clear. If John Fetterman, if I met him on the street, if I was like friends with him, if I met him in real life, I would not make fun of him unless he was a politician. I would never make fun of a person for their disability unless they were insisting on running as a politician to govern people. I think that there's a different level of standards here for somebody who insists that they know what's best for everybody and they need to rule over people. If you show up to the debate and your brain is fucking broken, you are open to scrutiny. That is how this works.
It's open season. Yeah, exactly. You wanted to disable your constituents via legislation and governance and all that stuff.
Dr. Oz's brain is broken too, but that's just because he supports like transgender surgery for kids and gun control. But that's a different mental illness.
Both sides of this are horrible. Both sides here. But one is medically retarded. The other is retarded by choice.
That's right. I can't decide which is one. Because one's a doctor, so I think he'd be the medical.
I'm not going to point out who I think is who. I think that's a fun game for kids at home.
Yeah, it's a mystery which, but
it's time to play retarded on accident or on purpose.
Direct patients to do.
Thank you. Mr. Fetterman, he accused you of socialized medicine, supporting socialized medicine. What is your response?
Yeah, again, it's the Oz rule. He's on TV and he's lying. I never supported any of that thing. He keeps talking about Bernie Sanders. 3 years ago he was on his show and he hugged him and he said, "I love this guy. You know what? Why don't you pretend that you live in Vermont instead of Pennsylvania and run against Bernie Sanders? Because all you can do is talk about Bernie Sanders, because my truth is that healthcare is a basic fundamental right, and I believe in expanding that, and I believe about fighting for healthcare, the kind of healthcare that saved my life."
Okay, just to be fair, that was the best answer that I'm pretty sure we're going to hear here, because that was almost cogent. Almost.
Yeah, he's making it okay, at least in some of these. It's like, but it's so obvious that he's
broken,
being guided.
Yes.
Yeah, he's broken and he's being guided. And
again,
maybe that's
he did open with
true.
"Good night, everybody" in his opening statement that I would imagine was probably prepared and well rehearsed long before this happened. So he's picking it up a little bit here. Let's see if he can hold that.
I do want to clarify something. You're saying tonight that you support fracking, that you've always supported fracking, but there is that 2018 interview that you said, quote, "I don't support fracking at all." So how do you square the two?
4, 3, 2.
I do support fracking, and I support fracking, and I stand and I do support fracking.
Okay,
thank
you, Mr. Fetterman.
That's it. Was I exaggerating? I mean, he literally said,
and I stand.
I support it, and I don't, and I don't. I support it. I stand. I support it. That's how I explained to you why I used to not support it and why I do now.
Does he
I support it.
Support it though? That's counterintuitive for a Democrat.
Well, do these people support anything? Yeah. It must just be a talk point in Pennsylvania that's big right now, because
government involvement in it. That's all he supports. But
I mean, both these people, if it was like, I don't know, if it was a controversial issue, really, they wouldn't be supporting it, either one of them. Right now, it must be acceptable in Pennsylvania. But
in Pennsylvania, it's a really big issue. I mean, I literally live right across the border from them, and even here, our economy is very driven by the fracking. So, yeah, he's probably taken that stance because he knows a lot of union workers that are going to vote Democrat are probably trying to back him.
It's like Biden pretending to be pro-gun and pro-oil and everything when he's around, union guys.
As soon as he's in office, as soon as he's in office, he'll vote otherwise. But regardless, I don't understand why that would be a question for a federal senator because it has nothing to do with the federal government.
Who cares? Just be happy that it happened.
Well, you're right, because
they're all retarded.
What was the phrase for the left against it was like no fracking way or whatever. So I guess the affirmative would be like frack yes or something. Like I'm surprised he didn't say that. Just frack yes. Frack yes, I'm for it.
Frack your mother. Go frack your mother.
I was going to say frack Mother Nature, frack the environment. All right, we'll watch one more here. If it's fun enough, we'll keep going, but we'll probably move on after this.
Mr. Oz, what is your response to those endorsements?
No, I don't care about Mr. Oz.
What is your response to accusations that you are, quote, dangerously soft on crime? You have 60 seconds.
No, I believe that I run on my record on crime. You know, I ran to be mayor back in 2005 in order to fight gun violence, and that's exactly what I did. In working with the police and working with our community, I was able to stop gun violence for 5.5 years as mayor. Ever accomplished before or since my time as mayor, because I'm the only person on this stage right now that is successful about pushing back against gun violence and being the community more safe. You know, all he's done is just put a plan up on his website in the last 24 hours. He has no experience. He has never made any attempt to try to address crime during his entire career, except showing up for photo ops here in Philadelphia.
I will give you 15 seconds to respond to that, and then I have a question for you.
The Fraternal Order of Police from Braddock, the small town he represented, endorsed me. They supported me because what he's saying is not true.
I want to play a little bit of Oz because it's good to have a cleanser, so you realize that just how bad John Fetterman is right now. If you listen to him like enough times in a row, you start to decode the retardation. It starts to make a little bit more sense. And then you hear Dr. Oz talk, even though what he's saying is complete bullshit, I'm sure, too. He's at least speaking in actual sentences, so it's nice to have a reminder of what humans sound like when they speak, so that you can compare it to this.
Solution for immigration. That's what I believe. I don't ever recall in the Statue of Liberty did they say, take our tired, huddled masses and put them on a bus and use cheap political stunts about them. I believe we have to develop.
Did Dr. Oz do that? I don't remember Dr. Oz doing that. I could be wrong. Did Dr. Oz put illegal immigrants on a bus?
Not that I know of.
No? I didn't think so. I didn't think doctors had that authority, but I could be wrong.
Comprehensive and bipartisan solution to address our issue here for immigration here in our nation.
All right.
All right. I think we've got enough of that.
So the southern border, they're talking about the border with Maryland, right?
I guess, yeah. I mean, if you're talking about Pennsylvania, that would be, yeah.
Got to secure the Mason-Dixon line, man.
Keep all those, I don't know, Maryland Mexicans. I don't know.
Well, you don't want to.
Yeah. Anyway, the news coverage on this has been quite fun to watch, and I'm sure it'll only get more spicy and enjoyable as the day goes on. But here's one.
The economy's tough for a lot of families, so I think that message came through very clearly. I think his answers were very direct. I think there's some real question on the other side about a number of answers where there didn't seem to be a yes or no. But I think John did very well, and I think he.
Yep. So Dr. Oz was confusing and not getting to the point, and John Fetterman was just very direct. Good night, everybody. Welcome to the show.
Senator Madlib. He definitely won.
Yeah. I mean, I've heard speak and spells be more fluent, but I don't know.
Senator Casey. Why has he got to lie and bring shame to the Casey name, man? Come on.
Tarnishing that good Casey name that nobody has ever tarnished before now.
Yeah, that's my job.
Do you guys have any other thoughts? We can move on from beating a dead elephant, but how do you think this will go? Don't be like that, Jack. That's not nice. Do you guys have any predictions on how this race will go in Pennsylvania?
Depends how they spin the voting machines.
Yeah.
I mean, Hillary Clinton is already predicting that the 24 election will be rigged.
Yeah.
So,
who owns those machines again? Yeah. I mean, at this point, I've watched Democrats be retarded consistently for 2 years straight, full full-fledged. Not that Republicans can't be too, but I mean,
they're less.
My God.
Republicans are less adamant about being retarded.
Yeah, and they're retarded in like
they feel some shame when they're retarded, I think.
Yeah, there's some. Yeah,
right. You mean on Republican?
Yeah, there's like an aggressive retardation on the left right now, and I feel like I would not be surprised if they would vote that way, even knowing the stroke, all the rest, because they are also probably suffering the same ailments from their decisions and the way they think.
You're saying are you saying all Democrats are at about Fetterman level? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. I mean, politically at this point, it's like you have to be
if they're voting for him, they have to think that he's smarter than them. If they think he's more qualified for the job than them, they are admitting that he is smarter than them.
I need this guy to decide things for me. This guy knows what's up.
That goes back to what I asked. I think Pennsylvania's a down-ticket voting state, so
yeah,
they're just going to checkmark Democrat, and that'll be the end of it.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Sorry to the libertarian guy it's Eric something, I know, because a bunch of people were yelling at me this morning for not saying something about it.
Somebody in the chat said it.
I mean, whoever has an L next to their name, just vote for that. Is that enough for my endorsement? It doesn't matter, even if he's a good libertarian. The worst libertarian, Nick Sarwark, would be better than John Fetterman or Dr. Oz, dare I say.
Whoa.
I mean, you gotta throw a bone to the CIA every now and then.
No. The flip-flop lumberjack.
That's right. Anyway, let's move on. Instead of this controversy that we're talking about, let's talk about racism. Let's talk about the LA Times, because the good news for today is that white brothers on this call, we are not alone. We are now being joined by the light-skinned Mexicans, because according to the LA Times, Mexico's new racial reckoning, a movement protests colorism and white privilege. Now, what do you mean by white privilege in Mexico? If you're Mexican, I mean, it's obvious where this is going. A few months ago, several employees of an upscale Mexico City steakhouse came forward with a damning allegation. The restaurant had a policy of segregating, in which the best tables were reserved for the customers with the lightest skin. The nation of whiter Mexicans getting preferential treatment was not surprising in a country where darker-skinned people have long earned less money received. So they're talking about the difference in
they're
pay.
They're just talking about Mark Claire. That's all they're talking about.
I have no idea. I'm not Mexican, as you can see. I mean, who knows? I might be dark enough to be Mexican if there's light skin. I don't know how Mexican culture works, but I guess there's light ones and there's dark ones, and the light ones are bad now. That's the point of this. It is taboo, and you are privileged. Anthony, how do you feel about this as a Jew?
Bienvenido to our new white Mexican brothers.
Yeah.
Welcome to the
Bring them in. I love it.
We will send you a case of your white monster.
That's
so
right.
You can get your wonderful white privilege right there.
White monster.
I think White Claw works too. Possibly even Busch Light. I'm not sure.
Yeah. This is great. They're just adding to our ranks. They're just giving us more. Sorry, I keep accidentally talking over the Jew. It's my inner anti-Semitism flaring up. I apologize. The audio's really low.
I'm used to it.
Jack.
It's because I'm jealous of the beard, so I'm just insecurely, reflexively trying to be louder than the beard.
Now, I am curious, Anthony, as a Jew, you also could suffer from white privilege, and with the beard, you could suffer from toxic masculinity, potentially. How do you square these oppression versus privilege, I don't know, views? How do they work together in your life?
It's probably why I have Asperger's. I just don't give a shit.
You're like the Ouroboros of boots, like stomping on yourself and stomping on others simultaneously.
It doesn't matter what social clique I'm within. I'm always the racial oddity.
Yeah.
And it's just a part of it. It's just a part of it. Now, if I choose to, I can just not tell anyone I'm a Jew.
Yeah.
And as far as I know, I'm some white guy from Ohio, and that's all they treat me as. But no, it's part of the life.
Well, that's a good segue into how do you feel about Nick Cannon and his controversial comments on anti-Semitism.
Is he a white supremacist? He looks like one.
He's not. He's not, actually. Are either of you familiar with Nick Cannon's controversy on anti-Semitism that happened over a year ago?
Don't even know.
No, I didn't know about this one.
Interesting. Nobody heard about that. But let's watch. If it plays.
Introducing Captain Plugin's
No!
Epic. 5 powerful plugins designed
how do
to
I
help
make
you
it stop?
create chords, melodies, drums, and
Stop. All right.
Then let's go to what the lack that they have of it.
No,
so then when you
I do not have a paid subscription to the Sun or the U.S. Sun or whatever this is.
What, Dr. Francis C. Welsing talked about is that fear and that
just genetic annihilation,
deficiency of when you have a person that has the lack of pigment, the lack of melanin, that they know that they will be annihilated. So therefore, however they got the power, they have the lack of compassion. That melanin comes with compassion. Melanin comes with soul. That we call it soul. We soul brothers and sisters. That's the melanin that connects us. So the people that don't have it are a little, and I'm gonna say this carefully.
I think it's too late for that.
A little less, and where the term actually comes from, because I'm bringing it all the way back around.
Okay.
I'm gonna say this carefully. White people are lesser humans than black people.
Or
just say that delicately.
When they were sent to the mountains of Caucasus, when they didn't have the power of the sun, that the sun then started to deteriorate them. So then they're
it deteriorates me. I'm not gonna lie.
Of fear, they're acting out of low self-esteem. They're acting out of a deficiency. So therefore, the only way that they can act is evil. The only way they can act is evil.
Fight or flight.
So
it's obvious. I'm convinced.
Yeah.
100%.
Now, he did get fired from his job on NBC after this. It's very interesting, though, because he got fired for his anti-Semitic remarks. Because this is actually...
We own the media, so that's natural.
Right. This guy, he's like in this clip, he's just saying white, or lack of pigment, lack of melanin that makes you evil. But the broader context is that this was also about white Jews, basically. And he got canceled for it. But they never talk about like how it's just a general anti-white racism that he's talking about here. The Jew thing came up at one point, and he made the same talk points as Kanye West, that blacks are the real Jews. Anthony, do you got any thoughts on blacks being the real Jews? Because I don't have a dog in this fight, but you might. Oh, I lost you. I don't have audio. Oh, there you are.
There it is. You're talking about the
black Hebrew Israelites or whatever.
Well, there's two different versions of where the whole black Hebrew thing comes from. There are those who believe that the ancient Hebrews in Israel, Egypt, were actually black themselves, and that those of us of lighter color were essentially fake Jews who somewhere in the 700s-800s in Europe decided to declare ourselves to be Jews, just to be different. Then there's the other theory of the Ethiopian Jews, where they are descendants of Levite priests who took the Ark of the Covenant down to Ethiopia, and where it exists to this day, and that they are by blood related to me. So when I hear a black man referring to themselves as a Jew, I often ask myself, okay, are you the type who believes that I am the fake Jew?
Right.
Or are you the type who believes I am descendant of the Jews through Ethiopia? And I'll usually ask them, are you Ethiopian? Or are you, I forget what term they call themselves, but it's muddied water amongst the Jewish people. It's something we don't like to talk about just because it's so racially charged. And
yes, that's why you're here.
I know that's why. That's no. I can get away with it. You two, you'd be sent off to cancel jail.
I mean, frankly, I don't have a dog in this fight. I don't really care. I think it's fascinating conversation, and I'm not a Jew, so I'm not offended by either of you saying that you're the real Jew. So I'm genuinely curious as to like people's opinions on it. Like, if Nick Cannon has some historical understanding that I don't understand, fine. Like, even if he was saying, white people in general are inferior because of lack of pigment, I'm like, tell me more. I'm fascinated by your theory. I can heavily disagree with you and wonder why you're not as nearly as canceled as Kanye West is being right now. But reading through the rest of this article, it talks about his cancellation, which pretty much nobody heard about. Like, I barely heard about it. You guys didn't hear about it. It only says that he got fired for anti-Semitic remarks. So a lot of the issue with Kanye West, and like Kanye isn't, to my understanding, isn't even bringing up skin color or ethnicity or anything. He's bringing up these people are in a lot of positions of power, and they are making my life harder. And that's kind of all that he's... Again, I haven't watched he's done a bunch of interviews lately, and I haven't watched most of them. But to my understanding, he's mostly just talking about, hey, you guys are pretending to be oppressed, and you guys... And he makes the statement that they're running the banks, and then the next day he gets canceled from his bank. And then he makes the statement that that they're running social media. The next day he's kicked off of social media. It's like, I'm not saying that they're running it. I'm saying if you don't want people to think you're running it, stop kicking him off all the platforms that he just talked about you running.
Yep. Yeah. It's interesting how that nuance of, like, he's saying comments against generally white people, and yet it's almost like for the cancel machine, the woke machine to operate, they can't just say he was canceled for talking about white people, because that's hot right now. They want everyone to talk about how much white people. But so they have to say, oh, it's the Jews he's talking about, in order to make it now like, oh, this is the protected class. These are one of the victim classes. So therefore, through that, we can now cancel them. Now, I don't know what their motive was for canceling it, if there's other reasons or whatever. But just that, in order for you to be canceled for criticizing a white thing, it has to specifically be Jews for it to get the sympathy.
I haven't followed a lot of what Kanye has said, but what little tidbits I did see, I actually agreed with what he said.
At the very least, it's at the very least, from what I've heard, it's way less offensive than what Nick Cannon said. Nick Cannon was talking about lesser humans and greater humans.
Exactly. Kanye specifically said you should visit the Museum of Our Holocaust, which is Planned Parenthood. And I said, well, that's 100%.
Oh, nice.
Absolutely 100% correct right there. It's true.
Fuck yeah, dude.
I mean...
We'll get more into... Let's listen to what Kanye had to say.
Okay. And that one's easier to prove. Yeah.
I actually don't have a bunch pulled up on what Kanye had to say, because I don't care that much. All I like, it, even if he's shut up. It's not what we're here to talk about. We're here to talk about the Antichrist that we haven't even gotten to. It's gonna get worse. Don't worry, you guys. With the Kanye thing, to my understanding, it's primarily just he wore the White Lives Matter thing. They got all bitchy about that, and then like the next day he posts about the Jewish stuff, and he's been saying about.
I'm confused. The last guy said that I'm a white life. So are Jews part of the white lives, or are we part of the black lives? I don't know.
It's so hard to tell anymore.
Exactly.
What if
you sneaky people and your ability to weave in and out where it's convenient? That's why nobody likes you.
What if he just came out with this? What if next time he comes out with a jacket, it just says, Jewish elites don't matter?
Exactly. There you go. That's the key word. That's the key word is elite.
Yeah.
I guess.
One thing my rabbi tells us constantly is there's two types of Jews in the world. There are Jews of faith, and then there are Jews of convenience.
Mm-hmm.
And when it comes to...
And some of them run the country Israel, and some of them
they're the ones of
don't.
Convenience. They're the ones of convenience. They're not really religious Jews. They're there as Jews just so that if you say anything bad about them, they can say it's racially charged and that you're racist and anti-Semitic.
Yep. So how do you feel about the nation state of Israel right now?
I am not a Zionist, and you know that.
Yeah, but I can't put those words in your mouth. They have to come out of them.
I know you can. Absolutely. I'm 100% against Israel, and as far as my as far as my research into the Kabbalah and what I know through our texts, those who are in charge of Zionism are essentially trying to forcefully bring about the Messiah by trying to rebuild the temple. And that is something I just completely disagree with. There's no
good, because that's what we're talking about next.
There's no better way to piss off our God than to try and force his hand, especially when it comes to bringing about prophecy.
I like it.
Yep.
I like it.
Yep.
So
based. Love it.
So before we move on from this, because the next topic isn't even really about this conspiracy realm so much. It's a completely different conspiracy realm on the Jewish stuff. But what are your thoughts on, like, the Jewish conspiracy stuff is basically, to my understanding, based primarily on an overrepresentation of this culture and these people in things like the media and stuff like that. Like, the capitalist in me is like, good on you. You guys really bounce back. No shame there. But do you think there's anything to the things like what Kanye's saying with these people running the media and like being corrupt and that type of thing?
When it comes to Jewish people being in positions of power, specifically positions of power that are brought about financially, not through elections, not through political means, it's because we, as a Jewish people, have stronger family values. We work together as a family far more often than other people do. We're more akin to Amish in that we build familial wealth over personal wealth. And so the fact that Jews are typically always the wealthy isn't because we're not individually wealthy, it's because we as family units become wealthy. And that's because we are more focused on our community and our people than we are in the individual. And that's just the way any minority culture is.
So by focusing on family, that's what got them in charge of Hollywood and the entertainment business and the media and the schools.
Post-Zionism has brought back the individual into Judaism. And so these people are in positions of power, and they are of a specific age where they basically said, well, screw the rest of the family. They took all the wealth, they've gotten into their power, and now you see the Jewish elite as they are today.
So by Jewish elite, you just mean people who identify, not religious Jews.
No, Jews of convenience.
Gotcha. Oh, the chats are awfully quiet today. I don't know what the deal is, you guys. Get in here. I don't know what you're scared of. We're not talking about anything uncomfortable. We're going to move on to, you brought up the Messiah. So in the Jewish faith, you believe that Jesus Christ was not the Messiah, which is, so you guys just like killed him or something. I mean, this is just my basic understanding.
No. Dude, you had to be there. Barabbas.
You had to be there.
You had to be there.
He was just such a smooth talker. You think Donald Trump was smooth? Barabbas was like way up here.
Nice.
They're like, dude, he murdered a bunch of people, but you know what? We like that guy.
Yeah.
Let's not crucify him. Crucify that carpenter, dude.
Carpenter that keeps healing people.
No. Putting the doctors out of business.
Trust the science. Don't trust this. Like it's like COVID. Like, don't trust these guys that are healing people on the side.
Jesus was the ivermectin of.
This dude's out here. He's like, you can get into the kingdom of God, and it costs you nothing. Hey, no.
What a waste of money.
Around that. Yeah.
That's right. So, Anthony, you believe and I don't have this vast understanding of the Jewish faith by any stretch. What do you think Jesus was? Do you think that he was just a crazy guy?
He was a prophet. He was a prophet. When you get into it, a lot of what he taught is true to the progression of teachings amongst prophets throughout Judaic history. But the issue becomes how much of his role in God's kingdom was actually spun by the Catholic Church and the papacy. So, did the Roman Catholic Church basically take a prophet and turn him into a Messiah? Because you go through everything that we have And historically, every single text surrounding Jesus has been touched at one point or another by Catholic hands in either translating it or cataloging it. So
I've taken big issue with that myself.
Can we truly trust what's written in those texts? I mean, apparently Christopher Columbus was a big rapist, but I never read that in my social studies book.
Yeah. No, I don't disagree with you. In my opinion, taking any spiritual text at face value without further thought or digging or understanding is just kind of stupid and lazy, whether it be Jewish or Christian. But so do you think that they spun it to the extent that, like, do you think that he wasn't performing miracles? Do you think that he wasn't saying that he was the Son of God?
No. Moses split the Red Sea. He turned a staff into a snake. Prophets throughout history have always performed miracles. So you can't tell me, well, Jesus cured disease. He took or gave a blind man sight. He raised Lazarus from the dead. Okay, there are a lot of prophets who had very similar miracles throughout their history as well.
Mm-hmm.
But it comes down to where they say, well, they asked him, are you the Son of God? And he said, I am. I said, well, the Roman Bible said that's what he said.
Right.
And there's been some rabbis I've heard who have broken down that the way he replied to that question in the Aramaic, when he said, I am, it was, are you Son of God, was referring to, are you a Jew? And so he said, I am a Jew. He didn't necessarily say, I am Son of God.
Motherfucker.
So
got me on a technicality. Now we got this whole country fucked up.
Exactly. But there's so many
I love
different
this, though,
ways you can translate everything. And so it's up to what you believe, and that's the core of religion.
Yeah. Go ahead, Jack.
Yeah, I was gonna say, people know necessarily about me. I've talked a little bit about it with you guys or with Dan before, but I quietly spent years. I grew up atheist, and I quietly spent years researching a lot of the same stuff you're talking about, right? Like breaking down where do these texts come from, when or how are they changed or translated, all these things, both Old Testament and New. I did a very years long deep dive research, and came with similar conclusions about how much you can pull different things and come to different conclusions based on where you go with it. I had more solid opinions on some of that a few years ago, and then as I went down more conspiracy rabbit holes,
before this conversation.
but now I'm questioning everything. The beard's throwing me off. I'm like, holy shit.
He seems real wise and trustworthy. I don't know.
Yeah,
that's how they get you.
Exactly. This guy might be probably no, but as Dan knows, and I've said before on stuff, I came away with a conclusion of like, wow, there's also this divine feminine goddess figure in all this that's also been kind of repressed and mistranslated, and this kind of like Holy Spirit wisdom character and stuff going on. And so I came away with that, seeing, okay, yeah, there's a lot to dig into here that you could pull from it. And I had more solid opinions on a lot of that stuff until, and like the historicity of these texts or these claims, whatever, and until I went far enough down conspiracy rabbit holes. Let's just say once I kicked open the flat Earth door, and I see how many deceptions are being pulled on us at these high levels, then everything has been back on the table. So now I re-examine all the religious. I'm like, everything is sus. Everything can be questioned as always, and yet I also share this desire to like pull from things. Like there's got to be enough truth and divine wisdom and love in enough of what we're reading, so that even if any of it or all of it has been altered or messed with by like nefarious powers, I feel like there's still something in there that's trying to speak to us, like almost like we can't cover up or get rid of some divine message, even
like
if
God is bigger than any text that we're reading and might be able to figure this out without our help.
Yeah, and like the truth bleeds through no matter what the evil powers are doing to mess with us or turn us against each other on that. Like so it's very interesting to go down that rabbit hole too.
Yeah, and
you're talking about the feminine divine. Did you ever look into pre-Babylonian Judaic religion?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the idea of
Dan's looking confused.
No, I'm familiar. Yes.
Okay. Before the Jews were taken off to Babylon, we had no written language. Hebrew itself is actually based off of Sanskrit. We learned while in Babylon, but before the sacking of Jerusalem and the taking of Jews in Jerusalem as slaves, we actually had two separate religions that believed in a divine feminine and a divine masculine, a father and a wife, a mother. And the mother was Gaia, it was Mother Earth, and this was believed by the shepherds, the people that lived out in the outskirts of society, whereas the city folk in Jerusalem believed more in the divine father, who would eventually become Yahweh, as we know him today.
Or as we pretend to.
But
Sorry.
The thing, when I try to explain it to Christians in particularly, I tell them it's very much the same as the concept of the Christian Trinity, and that it is the same divine being. It's the same essence. It's just two separate parts of that essence.
It's just monogamous instead of a three-way.
Well, the third way is actually us, because we were created in their image.
Like a father, mother, and child, or the idea of like a family unit.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Or yeah.
You want me to have a relationship with three dudes and you tell me that gayness is a sin? I don't know. What?
Yeah, we were laughing about this a minute. Listen, don't be gay, but I need you to worship a dude right now. Yeah, you can get into all that psychological, masculine, feminine, male, female stuff. Yeah, no, I'm on team goddess. I definitely feel like there's a goddess there that has been,
All right, so trans Jesus aside, Anthony, do you think that, so in your understanding, the Messiah has not come, the Messiah will come, the people who are trying to push the Messiah to come are also not to be trusted? Is that what you're saying?
Essentially, yes.
Okay, let's talk about the Messiah then. Because there are some people in certain countries that have a lot of Jews in them that seem to think that the Messiah is here. And I'm going into this skeptical on all sides, and also open on all sides. If these people have found something that is beyond my understanding, I am open to understanding it. And as a mostly, raised Christian, mostly Christian, whatever, probably the closest, definition that makes sense. This could either be the second coming of, or the first coming, I don't know, of Christ according to the Jewish religion, or it could be the Antichrist, or it could just be some dude. But let's watch a little bit of this, and we'll have to read it because it's all in Jewish, which is a language. What is why have all the great rabbis gathered here? Why have all the rabbit? Maybe are you able to read this? Is this too small for you, Anthony? Because it might help.
I can read it just fine.
Oh, perfect. Then you read it.
If you stop speaking over him, I could just hear the Hebrew too.
Yeah, you can. However you want to read this, or say it, translate this for us. That'd be great.
Why have
Because
all the rabbinic leaders of our judicial system gathered together?
I'm afraid if I read it, I might open a portal to hell or something. This might be some sort of Latin or something. I don't know. Let's put this on you.
That's demon talk. That's that Hebrew.
Why have all these 1,000 of people that are loyal to Israel? What is so unique and special about this massive and holy gathering? Nice hats.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm glad you said it.
There's a part of me as a hipster that enjoys their fashion sense, but if you show up to a party and everybody's dressed the same hipster fashion, it gets a little bit, a little bit much.
I can't wear those hats. I just want to dance when I wear those hats.
Yes. Do you got the braids yet going, or the curly cues?
But I trimmed them. They got really out of hand.
Is it a sin to trim them? I don't know how this works.
It is for them.
Oh, okay. It's not for me. You sound like the Christian Jew, just like the Christian or the American Jew. Yeah. The forward-thinking Jew.
You are fast becoming my favorite Jew. This is fun.
The Jew that
Orthodox Jews and there's Reformed Jews. These are your Orthodox Jews.
The Jew that mostly spends his time posting spicy memes and driving trucks around. Yes, typical.
That's all I do all day long.
That's how you take over the world.
These are your Orthodox Jews.
Yes.
Otherwise, the people who are practicing Jews, but they don't wear the quote-unquote silly hat. have the quote-unquote Jew girls. We're Reformed. So you could say...
So you're the heretics to somebody.
These are the Catholics. I'm the Protestant.
Gotcha. Do you feel like you're even qualified to read this then, as a heretic?
As a heretic?
I don't know. Is there like ostracizing, like there is in Christianity, where if you don't believe the exact same thing, then you're probably bad?
Absolutely. Even amongst the Reformed community, because I'm anti-Zionist, I am not allowed to a lot of functions. I'm
nice.
very blacklisted, and a lot of things I'm very blacklisted, just because I'm very vocal about how my disdain for Israel and everything else. So a lot of people ask, how can you be a Jew and a libertarian? Don't libertarians hate Israel? And I say, yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Next question.
Event that only occurs in a few generations. Is this the completion of the entire Torah will complete comprehension? We're talking about completing the Torah. What is this?
You'll see. And filled with doubt and trepidation.
That in the presence of a Gaon of Israel, who is the more fact that he has existed in this world. Are they naming the Messiah?
That's where we're getting. Yep. Okay. Have you not heard? Did you not get the Jew newsletter? The Jews letter?
Dude, I told you. They deleted me off the news listing, you know? They're like, hey.
Damn. So I'm reporting the Jews to a Jew. That's nice. Just so you know, Anthony, I don't know if you heard, but your Messiah is here, and that's where this is going.
Really bad time to be anti-Semite, isn't it?
Says the mere fact that he existed in this world for so long without knowing about him, we have never witnessed. It's really fast.
It's Donald Trump, isn't it?
It's not. It's not.
Donald Trump walks out. What the fuck?
It's not. Yes, Donald Trump walks out.
I'll be the best Messiah you've ever seen.
Donald Trump just walks out without a spray tan, and he's like this really pale dude wearing the Jew get up, and he's got like a fake beard. He's like, I am here to talk about your wall. It's a great wall.
No. Or he walks out in full blackface, and he's like, the blacks are the real Jews, and I'm their Messiah.
I didn't read the invite.
Kanye's at his side.
My boil says it was the biggest foreskin he ever trimmed. Okay.
The Torah declares him. Go ahead.
Yeah. This is the Torah that emanates from deep humbleness.
Here, I'll just jump to the text. We don't need to hear them say it.
All of us together can dedicate to the Rav, the Yanuka,
The Rave?
A person, Rav, the Yanuka, a person who is worthy of knowing the entire Torah, a rabbi, essentially. And even appears to be a human being. Mm-hmm. And indeed, a meritorious man. This is Donald Trump, I'm telling you. Meriting knowledge.
Does Donald Trump have a deep knowledge of the Torah?
He has
He would tell you he does.
He has very big hands.
How do you think his hands got so big? He was opening that text over and over, studying.
Mm-hmm.
He was studying up.
He was holding the reading right to left, man. It builds up this arm right here.
That's right. All right,
he
read
walks
on.
among people.
He walks among people.
And appears to be a person. And indeed, a meritorious man. He walks among people.
I think they're singing a song here.
I think this is a chant.
Yeah, they're singing a song here.
Yeah, that's a
This reminds me.
But in reality, he's an angel.
This reminds me of A Knight's Tale when like the Herald guy's like introducing Heath Ledger and he's like just spouting off like he's like he once spent a year in Greece.
Yeah.
To understand the sound of a whisper or whatever, like they're fucking building this up.
So do you recognize this guy, Anthony?
Oh shit.
I do not, but
So if you saw your Messiah in the flesh, you would not even recognize him?
absolutely not.
The Messiah wears glasses?
Yeah. You'd think he'd have 20/20.
You think he could heal that.
Unless those are a prop to make you feel more humble.
Oh, yes.
Like Superman, like Clark Kent. Like he's like, oh, I'm just like you.
You don't need those glasses. No.
Nailed it.
But I could I could beat you up real good. Yeah.
All right, read on.
And he lives a life of living nobility and exalted above all glory. But in reality, he is an angel, living among the mortal. And he lives a life of living nobility. I think we're about to do another song here.
Oh, I'm sure it's still a song, but they're showing imagery of like all these rabbis kissing his hand and like praising him and everything. Like they're all about this guy that none of us have ever heard of.
We've had a couple false messiahs, false prophets throughout history, many times. So,
do you have names? Name names. Name drop. Name drop your messiahs.
I can think of one.
Is it Donald Trump?
We had one of the 1200s, one of the 1600s, one of the 1800s. So only natural we have one.
Should we take bets on how long till this guy gets crucified?
I was gonna say, you guys make fun of us for having one guy that's already came. You guys had like 20 guys that already came. I don't know.
They just saw a pattern. They were like, listen, next one up, put him up. Let's keep it. Listen, that was the Roman thing. Okay, so
he's watching this guy. It's like, these Jews are pretty cool until you don't, do the things they want you to do, and then whoop,
yeah.
That's right. They're touchy. Do not perform miracles. Say you're the Messiah. Like, he doesn't say he's the Messiah, in fairness, so he should be safe. But he also do not come out and say that anything about blacks or, Jewish media or anything like that. Either of those things off the table, otherwise you're fine. But so without like, this is like a 17-minute long video of them praising this guy, saying everything but he is the Messiah. He's walking amongst mere mortals. He has the entire Talmud and Torah like memorized, which has never happened before for anybody. He's like 32 years old or something, and he memorized it by the age of 15 or something like that. Making a big deal about this guy whose name is, I should probably say, you say what you were gonna. Oh, here it is. Yanuka Rav Shlomo Yehuda. Have you heard this very Jewish name?
That was very bad. That was very poor.
Would you like to read this very Jewish name? Because I prefaced by saying I'm not Jewish.
West as well, but the whole thing to me, it's itching my Jew bone in saying that they are basically breaking the very numero uno first commandment about putting someone before the big guy.
Because, I thought the first one was like freedom of speech, freedom of.
No. That's the other Bible.
Oh shit, my bad.
No, they're basically putting this. They're putting the pussy on a pedestal.
Wow.
This base Jew just called the supposed Messiah a pussy.
Let's go ahead and switch over to your camera for the rest of this conversation.
Dude, you're
Jew cam. Why don't you just change it down here to
I fucking love this guy.
Jew cam.
Jew cam. All right. Well, keep talking. Let me change it.
I love these. Like, here's the Messiah. Like, that guy's a fucking pussy.
The whole thing to me sounds like they are worshiping the guy, and so there you go. That's,
yep,
there you go.
Got our Jew cam. Yes.
The whole thing to me says they're putting another god before him.
Now,
you can't do that.
Sure, if the Christian religion did that as well, I would say the same thing. Like, this guy isn't to be trusted. But the question is, like, at what point?
I've been saying it forever because of the saints, but okay, go ahead.
Okay, if the Christians did that again,
this has been the fundamental. Yeah, this has been the fundamental debate between the two religions. Can a bro show up and do cool shit and be considered God?
Right.
Christians say, well, he came back to life, whereas Jews are like.
Well, like, if this guy was your Messiah, or if the Messiah did come, how would you know? If not for, like, these are the signs and wonders that we're supposed to look for. Like, I'm open-minded and also skeptical to where I'm like, hey, if he is miraculous, I'm interested. Give it all to me.
The good news is the end is near, if he's the Messiah. The bad news is it's going to come.
The end has always been near, but it seems more near than ever. But also, every boomer said that too.
The bad news is it's going to end by Israel basically dominating and taking over the entire planet.
Oh, fuck.
Because that's the one thing in the prophecy that Jesus didn't give the Jews, and that's why they weren't happy with him. He was supposed to be the King of Kings. He was supposed to dominate and take over the planet, and he didn't.
Yeah.
He tried.
So, again,
But in another way, did he?
and I'm a Jew, and I'm against Zionism because that's their end game. Total world domination.
Are they so in?
Yes.
If that is the religion, are they incorrect?
If it's, and again, it goes back to
this guy's about to become a Christian.
No, it goes back to what I was arguing.
He's like, holy
about
shit.
Christian texts. That prophecy of Jews taking over the world, is it truly what, I believe it was Isaiah that said that, or is it something that a rabbi or a priest further down the line added to what he said? Because it doesn't sound like something God would really say is, you're going to destroy the planet and take over everybody, and then the whole planet's going to be yours. No. God gave us that small little sliver of land of Israel. He didn't give us the planet. So I honestly don't believe in the prophecy per se, especially that portion of it, which is why Zionism, anti-Zionism within the Semitic community is so risque and so touchy of a subject.
Yeah.
Yeah, here's the irony, right? You break down all the Abrahamic religions, and they're all expecting the same thing: a apocalyptic showdown in which their guy shows up, proves they're the real one, and conquers the world. And so, whether the Jews are waiting for their Messiah to show up for the first time to do this, or Christians are waiting for their Messiah to come back
Get his ass back here.
Shown up.
The hell, bro?
Right. It's like
any day.
Both are expecting someone to show up and be the real, will the real God please stand up? And basically, and
with atheism on the rise that it is, God will finally show up to beat down the other gods, but there won't be any other gods because no one on earth believes in a god. They're all atheists.
So you're saying aliens?
Most likely.
Nice.
Most likely aliens.
Jewish aliens or Christian aliens? It's important.
Abrahamic aliens.
Nice. Beards and all?
Yeah. Possibly Muslim.
Yeah. Let's just say part of the reason I published some of the books I wrote was because I recognized even in my young imagination certain parallels and themes, like the idea of fledgling religions being hijacked by nefarious powers to create prophecies and the conditions by which they can bring about apocalyptic scenarios and then dominate the world with the result of that. And that seems to, if that were to be something in reality, it sure would look a lot like a lot of these religions prepping for some, expecting some kind of massive, world conflict in which their hero shows up. And it's interesting that they all seem to be expecting the same thing, and it's just which version, which one, or
also,
maybe none of them.
Again, my question was, I'm not sure if we've answered it, but I am curious for both of you. The question is, if somebody showed up saying that they were the Messiah performing signs and wonders and miracles and things, what would it take for you to, if you're doing that, I feel like our brains instantly go toward, you're deceptive, you're incorrect, whatever, but what would it take for you to go, oh, okay, you are the real deal? What would it take for you to accept that, what's his name? That, I'm going to nail this one this time, Yanu K. Rave Shlomo Yehudia, I think I got it, is the Messiah. What would it take? Anthony, we'll start with you.
I'm stuck on Shlomo. That was great.
Do you have a better way of pronouncing Shlomo?
Don't be Shlomophobic. Come on.
I didn't name the guy Shlomo. They named him Shlomo. Shlomophobic. Jew Cam, what do you got?
So the Jew Cam. For someone to truly be the Messiah and convince me that they are the Messiah, the first thing they would do is not declare themselves to be the Messiah.
This guy hasn't.
Yeah, but he's basically being worshipped in person. He's being worshipped, and he's not stopping them.
Right. He's not saying, easy. Yeah.
He's not saying dude, you guys are breaking the first commandment here. What the fuck are you guys doing? No, he's.
But what if he is?
Just sitting there. He's like,
what if he is though, and they're praising him? He's not making them praise him, and he's not saying I am the Messiah. He's just being himself, and they're praising him.
If you view Jesus as a prophet as opposed to a Messiah, the most important thing that Jesus taught the Jews was how to please God after the destruction of the temple. And that is, you no longer need to make a sacrifice. Just get down on your hands and knees and pray to God. And that's all you need to do. So for him to basically accept the praise as he is, it contradicts those teachings because...
I don't know, Jesus got some praise, yo. Jesus drew some crowds. They seemed to like him until they hated him.
Jesus also preached humility, and this guy's anything but humble from what I'm saying. Because again, they're making a big deal out of him, and he is not counteracting that in any way whatsoever. It's
sure, like and we are just basing this off of like the 3 minutes that we watched of guys talking and singing songs. If that's enough for you, great.
It'd be funny if
I'm more open-minded about your own religion than you are. So I can't be anti-Semitic, guys, because he called him a pussy right off the bat, and I'm like, hey, what if this guy is the Messiah? So I don't know.
What a plot twist. Yeah, it'll be funny if as he's shaking people's hands, he's just whispering them, please stop.
Hey, yo,
we
calm
don't get
down.
that translation because he's not on mic, but he's like
I had a lot of free time on my hands from ages 1 to 15. I'm very autistic. I read a book. I read a book a bunch of times, guys. That doesn't make me, whatever.
Well,
Rain Man was our Messiah, I'm pretty sure.
It's interesting what you said about how this is an interesting parallel with Christianity, and you see these conflicts between both in Judaism and Christianity. The two versions of how they interpret their own religion. You see in both the Jewish, Orthodox version and Catholic Church and these other ones, this emphasis on you need a church structure and temple structure, and whether you call it one thing or another, this idea of a hierarchy of priesthood and things that you must go through to access God. Then you have in both Christianity and in Judaism, it sounds like, the kind of the spirit, I think, of what the New Testament was trying to go for, or at least what seems to be salvaged from that, is this sense of no, God's talking to you right now. That Holy Spirit is in you right now. You don't need any mortal being to be your intermediate. And maybe you never did, or maybe you don't need to anymore. But this idea of you have a direct line to God, you can talk to God, and there's almost like this anarchic energy or libertarian spirit of you are free. Love has always been the law of the land. You can
something that supersedes our understanding and always will, no matter how much we try to make it into politics.
Yeah. When you look at the historical context, specifically around the period that Jesus came to the Jews, we lost our temple. We lost the temple was everything to Jews because it was a physical connection point to God himself. And without that temple, Jews felt lost. They felt they had absolutely no way to communicate and appease Yahweh and to get his blessing, and that the oppression of the Romans, the oppression of the Greeks before them was 100% because they lost that temple. And so then you have Jesus come in. They all proclaim him to be the Messiah. They follow him as a Messiah. He's teaching them an important lesson in that you do not need the temple. You do not need the priests. You do not need the rabbis. How many times did he ask, never call me a rabbi? I'm not a rabbi. And the fact that that man's influence went on to create the most structured, multi-tiered, the
MLM.
Catholic Church, an MLM, is just absolutely contradictory to his actual teachings. Whereas in Judaism, what's confusing to me in Judaism, post-Jesus, post the fall of the Roman Empire, the rabbinic atmosphere that our religion gained was basically a rabbi is not a priest. A rabbi is a teacher. And what rabbis teach you is specifically how to nurture and nestle your link to God, your link to the divine spirit, to find his divine will, to become good with God, and to do as he wishes all of us to do in life, ultimately to become good enough to be brought into paradise at the end of life. That's just confusing to me. I don't and that brings me back to my initial point of how much of Christianity has been influenced not under the purpose of helping people on a spiritual journey, so much as helping the priests and the papacy in gaining and retaining power.
Right. Yeah. No, we're on a similar page. I feel like there's a lot of spiritual truth that kind of seems to transcend what these structured religions are trying to do. And I have no doubt that when the real God does stand up, or goddess, I don't know.
We're not going to be asking the question. We're not going to be having podcast episodes debating whether or not he's a pussy.
Maybe,
Gender fluid.
Yeah. Maybe it'll be
someone
someone with the literal pussy who comes and shows up. I don't know. Regardless whether it's
I will never
wisdom
bow
or the
down
word
to
or
a woman god. I'm sorry. I can't do it.
If super
What if it's
based
a
woman
latest
shows up and is like,
at some point that's on you. That's on you for presenting. You could have presented yourself as any type of god. You could present yourself as a big dick swinging god. I don't care. That's fine. I mean, that's great. It's respectable. If you present yourself as a woman and you expect me to worship you, to bow down and respect you, come on. That's on you. That's your fault.
what about a woman who like insults all the annoying feminist women and is like, shut the fuck up. You're really annoying. You made.
I mean, he's
going to
do that to all guys
annoying.
if he's a man. He's going to do that to everybody in every way. Like, guys,
oh yeah,
you're
whoever
retarded.
shows up, whether it's Big JC or whether it's whoever,
or whether it's Shlomo Yehuda.
Or Shlomo, yeah.
Just
they're probably going to kick all of our asses. Probably, I would hope verbally, but maybe, I don't know. Maybe there's some hellfire spankings. I don't know how this is going to go down.
Send us a Messiah, and the Messiah is going to be a woman.
A trans woman.
And she will be, and she will have been a very big OnlyFans star.
Listen, I mean, if God's going to be worshipped, there's...
I hear there's a lot of goddesses on that website.
That's what I hear. Check out onlyfansgoddesses.com, and I'm sure you'll find... I've never been, but it sounds like it's definitely a thing.
Listen, if there's a hell, the three of us are
God,
probably getting dunked in there just a little bit, like just a quick dunking, I'm sure. No, if anything, I hope that when God shows up and explains him and or herself, we're going to be relieved. Yeah, we're going to be relieved at how fucking cool God is. And I'm sure all of our dumb religious bullshit to try and explain or, it's going to be blown away and it's going to be fine. As a flat earther now, I'm 100% convinced there's a creator. I'm like, someone made this shit. It's flat as fuck. It's all space is fake. Yeah. I'm like, I can't deny that we're created. It's now just the argument of who is this being? What do they want? Which of these worldly religions are even close to the truth, right? And it's just sorting that shit out now. But
ultimately, though, if you're a good person, I don't think if you die and you're standing before God for judgment, they are going to say that you were a great person in life, but you didn't believe that exact flavor of religion that you're supposed to. That's not going to happen. That's never going to happen.
That's certainly something we can agree on. Like any god that is less empathetic than I am, who as like this very dry, bitter autistic man, and God is more like of an angry autistic child than we are, to where he's like, I spent most of my time, really focused on what you put in your butthole. That's what really got me. Like, yeah, you got all the theology right, but you kept putting things in your butthole. So, I know I made it feel good, but you used it wrong. So, eternal damnation for you, my friend. I never knew you.
God invented the cucumber. He invented the banana. If you didn't want that shit up the butthole,
yeah, the prostate is there. Listen,
should have made so many natural dildos.
Maybe God is a jealous God and wants us to save our virgin buttholes for her. Maybe that's what.
Well, what's she gonna do with it? I mean,
I did have a rabbi who referred to the prostate as Satan's button. So
That seems like as good a place as any to wrap a spiritual conversation.
We're told to be, aren't we as men? We're asked to be the bride of Christ or God or whatever. So I don't know how else one can be that unless
yes. So we can continue this in the after party, but we are not going to cover quite a few of the articles that I had for this, so we can carry them over. But final questions, Anthony, as a Jew, do you believe that the Goyim are lesser than you?
Yes.
What's that?
Yes, absolutely.
Would you like to explain?
You are absolute trash. I'm going to have you canceled.
Cattle even, some might say?
Yep. Your bank accounts are going to be frozen after this conversation. I am going to make some phone calls. Goyim.
Oh man, you should have stuck with it. I would have been checking my bank in the in between just to make sure that you're not. I don't know. I don't know what you guys are capable of.
If Goyim were trash, we wouldn't have conversion open as an option. You can convert into Judaism. We accept anyone.
You can stop being trash.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, unlike Nick Cannon, you can choose to be part of ours. Like, I guess you can choose to tan more or.
See, the yarmulke is representative of a trash can lid, so you put it on and then boom, you're not.
Sounds very anti-Semitic, like the most anti-Semitic thing that's been said so far.
Wait till you see what I say in the after party. No.
Jack, any final thoughts?
Subscribe now. Yeah. So pay now for the after party.
Now, do you guys have any final thoughts on
anti-Semitic the Jew?
Paywall start right here.
So on this guy in particular, obviously none of us trust him, but Jack, you lean more towards like the Christian side in some ways. The Christian belief is that anybody who comes and says they're Messiah has potential to be the Antichrist. Do you think that this guy is of that stature, or is this just another? I learned today that there's been like 25 Jewish Messiahs over the last several hundred years. So what do I know? But what do you think?
I know you were asking earlier, like, well, what would prove it, right? Would it be they do miracles, would they levitate off the ground? Like, what's going to be their reveal of that there's something higher powered? And I often, again, as someone who wrote about some of these ideas, I think there's a reason they hide certain technology from us. And when you deep dive some conspiracy stuff, you realize things like levitation and other technologies are actually very real and very available to some of these peoples. And I wouldn't put it past them to use advanced technology to create the illusion of supernatural ability as part of their, fakery of this, chosen one. So be aware of that too, that you might see some shit that looks really cool and have to question everything.
I barely trust what's coming out of Ukraine, let alone what's coming out of Israel about their Messiah. So
yeah. I have a feeling,
and they run Hollywood, so they got all the effects artists at their disposal.
Right. Yeah, I'm sure when the real God shows up, we're gonna fucking know. It's gonna be bigger and better than anything they can even come up with and scare us with. So,
Jack, please stop interrupting the Jew. Please go ahead, sir.
My German ancestry is kicking in.
I got German ancestry too. So I'm always trying.
So you're an internalized Nazi.
Sorry, Germans.
It's dangerous when I cook. Let's just leave it at that.
Jesus. You almost put yourself in an oven. What'd you do there?
Exactly.
Sometimes he gets this weird urge to lean in farther than he should.
That oven preheat. That's it.
We won't slander the Germans by making up stories. No.
Yes, because we've slandered the Germans most today, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Of all the people that have gotten a bad rep. I don't know. You were going to say something, Anthony, and Jack cut you off as a Nazi.
I don't remember. I was going to plug something, though.
Oh.
I was going to plug something.
Yes, you did mention a thing that you wanted to plug, and I told you to remind me. So now is that time. Let's switch over to JewCam. 1 second. JewCam up.
So if you guys like this shirt right here, which says Mothman is real, and he doesn't pay taxes, you can find this shirt and a lot of other shirts like it on a friend of mine's Twitter account. It is Duality of Han, as in Han Solo. You can also search for her by Mother Girth, Girth.
Nice.
She used to
Sounds
have
relevant to our
other
conversation.
Yeah, she used to have a couple other stores that she could sell stuff over, but she keeps getting canceled. But she's got a lot of very liberty-oriented shirts, ashtrays. She even makes dildos, actually. But you can custom
Mothman
order all
dildos.
kinds of stuff from her. She does handmade tie-dye shirts as well.
Nice.
So check her out on Twitter. Again, that was at Duality of Han, H-A-N, just like Han Solo.
Mm-hmm.
So that's my one plug of the day. Let's go to the...
Is Mothman Jewish?
Mothman is definitely Jewish. He does not pay taxes.
Nice. I think. I don't know how to feel anymore. Jack, plug your dumb books.
Hey, I think I do follow Mother Girth on Twitter, by the way. That name's familiar. Yeah. That's interesting. Okay, cool. Let's check that out. Awesome shirt. Also, awesome books. WVW 3 is coming out this Halloween/Halloweep. You will find out what that is in the third book. I'm telling you right now, look, Dan's talked about the first two books. He's read them. He had a nice bubble bath. We talked about that in a previous episode. If you like the way the second one escalates and, kicks off on top of the first one, let's just say this third one is going to blow you all the fuck away. Okay, just trust me. I can't give away too much or why, but you're going to love it. It's coming out. You can get all three. You can get the first two if you want to get prepped, nice and prepped and lubed for part 3, and that can can be how you celebrate Halloween.
The world is round at the end.
Oh shit! Took a real M. Night Shyamalan twist there.
What a twist!
Yes. Check out Jack's books at jackcaseybooks.com is what I think you meant to say.
That's the one. Yeah. You think I'd remember it? It's my own name.
Is it http://www?
HTTPS if you would like to be safe, sir. Do not be reckless on my show.
Secure.
Do not be reckless on my show. You are putting people's lives at stake. Maybe that's some sort of Jew trick or something to make people unsafe on the internet. I don't know. You guys made it. But guys, thank you so much for being here. This has been fun. I've had a lot of people saying, you haven't talked about spirituality in a long time. And I was like, I don't remember what I was looking for, but new Jewish Messiah / Antichrist came across my desk at some point. And I was like, well, that sounds fun. Maybe now's not the best time to talk about it. And it might get me kicked off of YouTube. But hey.
He's definitely a grifter. He's a grifter. He's Jewing all those Jews for Jew gold.
Yes. I'm a secret Jew, but we're sneaky, so it's fine. Guys, thanks for being here, and stick around if you feel like it. Otherwise, whatever. Yeah, to all of you in the comments section, thank you for sticking around. I know there's very few of you that have stuck around for this entire thing. There's a few. The comment section has been oddly quiet today. I don't know. You guys asked for spirituality. I don't know if talking about, Jewish conspiracies right when Kanye West is getting canceled for talking about Jewish conspiracies is the best idea for business or not, but it seems like a good time to talk about it, and why not, we're all figuring this thing out together. So if you have questions, if you have thoughts, hit me up at tsidpod at Dan at tsidpod.com or at tsidpod on Twitter or thesystemsdown.tv, and hit up any of these guys. If you got Jewy questions, hit up the one. If you have a flat earth retarded questions, hit up Jack Casey. Anthony Meyer's the other one. Sorry, my brain is not working today. But thank you for being here. We're going to keep going in the after party. We got a whole slate of fun trans stuff to talk about. Is it God? I don't know. Is it a man? Is it a woman? Is it God? Who knows? But we're also talking about cocaine delivery services. And what else do we have here? That's the same one. Oh, a bunch of asshole cop stories. We're going to talk about some flat earth stuff, and we're going to talk about some fake NASA stuff, because they're talking about how they're fake and stuff, so why shouldn't we talk about it? Lots and lots of fun stuff. If you want to get more uncomfortable and more controversial, head on over to, actually, I don't even know if it is more controversial at this point, but if you want to continue the controversy, go on over to patreon.com/thesystemsdown and join the Downers Club today, and we will keep this party going with whoever's around to hear it live in about 5. Until next time, ladies and gentlemen, question everything, stay uncomfortable, and I'll talk to you then. Bye-bye.
Welcome to the system, everyone's a victim. Doesn't matter if you're black or white, it hates you all. Here is how the system, violence is a symptom. Fighting for what's right, but somehow everyone is wrong.
Hey guys, thanks for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe on your way out and help us change the world one uncomfortable conversation at a time. And if you like what you hear and you want to hear more, go join the Downers Club at patreon.com/The System Is Down for bonus episodes of the show every single week. Until next time, please continue to question everything, stay uncomfortable, and I'll talk to you then. Thanks.
This has been a Goulash Media production. GoulashMedia.net.
This concludes our broadcast day. Click.